Good morning. It's a beautiful morning here on the Gold Coast. It finally feels like summer is coming to an end, and we've got a big step happening with the van as well. So far we've done everything ourselves except for the exhaust relocation and window tinting, but now we're moving into that trades and certification side of the build. So this morning I've got the gas fitter coming. If you watched any of our earlier videos, you would have known that I got on board pretty early with the gas fitter and the Sparky and the certifier, just so I knew what I needed to be considering very early on in the build. But yeah, today the gas fitter's coming. He's going to come have a look at what he needs to do and just work anything else out. Let me know if there's anything I need to do. To be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about this step. Even though I had him on board and he came and had a look at the van, there's still a lot that relies on the gas working, and we had to cut some pretty massive holes in the van, so fingers crossed. But I'll let you know how it goes. I'm going to take you through the whole process with the gas, the electrical and the certification as well. Alright, so a little bit of an update. The gas fitter came. He was just coming to have a look and make sure everything was in place. He was really impressed with the build so far. He said even compared to some people that do this professionally for others, we've done really well. So I am stoked with that. There's a couple little things I've got to do still. So I've got to make a seal that goes around the inside of the gas box to make that airtight. So he gave me some tips on that, and I'll show you what I do there. I've also got to secure down my fastening straps that I'm going to use to hold the gas bottles tight. So I'll show you that as well. And then next week we're going to drop the van off at his, and he's going to do the fit out. But unfortunately now I've got to go to work. Alright, so there's a couple of things we've had to do with the gas box before we can have the gas fitter install the gas. So the first thing was just with the type of box we've got, we're going for a sealed box, and where we've got it as well. So I've had to put a seal around where the lid touches in. So for that I've just used some aluminium edge. So this is 12mm by 1.4mm. Just cut that, and that's Sikaflexed in place. And then I've used some 12mm wide sealing foam around there. So this is the edge strip that I used. And then there's the foam stripping. It's self-adhesive, so just put that around there. Then the other thing is the gas bottles need to be secure. So for that I've just made a little bit of a brace here out of some timber. Just traced out the bottom of the bottles, cut those out with the jigsaw, gave it a varnish, and then I've got some ratchet straps, cut those to length. And then on the ends where I cut them, just so it didn't fray, just ran the lighter along there and melted those tips down. Underneath, probably not necessary, but I had some 38 by 1.5mm rubber strip, so I've just put that down there. So that gives a bit of protection to the box and also just stops any sliding, slipping. And then I've just screwed that down into place. For our gas bottles, we're using these 3.7 kilo swap and go, so we've got two of those. So they will now be securely held in place.
Home.
So when the gas fitter came out the other day, he said just to leave this side clear and put my mounting bracket over to the side, so he's got space in here to put the drain in for the vent and also for the pipe work to come up the side with the regulator and all that. So yeah, they're held in there really nice and tightly, and then we've got a seal, and then the lip of this lid presses down quite nicely into the foam seal there. It's been a couple of weeks now since we've had the gas fitted and certified. So we've got our gas compliance certificate. I'm not going to show that, but it's basically a certificate for each gas appliance with the model number and serial number and a certification. So I should mention we are in Queensland, so this is probably going to be different depending where you are, and might also change in the future. But yeah, the certification is done and we've got gas now, so I'll show you through that system. The first thing you're probably going to notice is there's stickers everywhere, and this is just the start of it. So we've got more stickers in there, the gas regulator and the gas pipe goes down there, and the gas fitters also put a drain into the bottom of it. So that vents out the bottom. And one thing I did, these are swap and go bottles. And I bought the older style. I sort of didn't realize there was two types, but apparently now this is the new type that's got this fitting that goes around the outside. So I had to take them back and get them swapped. So we can turn our gas on. Leave that open. In on all our vents as well, so they've all been stickered. And then in on the cooktop as well, we've got more stickers. And then the gas is working. And we've also got our hot water, so I won't fire that in because I got it disconnected in some of the plumbing as we've got a tank out. But yeah, we can set the water temperature we want, power it on and off. And that's been really good. We managed to get away for a couple of days camping, test out the stove, the hot water, sink, shower, all that, and it was just working really well. The other thing we've had done is the 240 electrical has all been wired in now, so I'll show you through that as well. So with the 240, we had the electrician come out and wire that in. So the shore plug is behind there. I've now cladded that in, but that shore plug cable runs over and through, comes out of the wall here and runs into our 240 volt control panel. So in there we've got our combined RCD and breakers. So the shore power comes through a breaker that's on the left, you can see that's off, and then it comes through and goes into the input side of the inverter. And then on the output side of the inverter, we've got a line that runs back through, and it runs through an RCD and breaker as well, and then back out into a junction box, and then that runs to our various different power points. So we've got one at the back, we've got one here, and we've also got one in the kitchen as well. So something with the power points, I had pre-bought just some standard household plugs, some slimline ones. The electrician said we needed to have dual pole power points, so they're actually about 5 times the price of a standard plug, but they switch both the positive and the neutral, so we had to use those ones. For anywhere where we might have had exposed cabling at the back, he's put like a backing plate on those. And the one in the kitchen, I made a backing plate just out of timber. That was before he'd even come round. So that's basically a block, and then there's a hole in the back where the conduit comes into it. So all our utility controls and stuff are up here, including the switch for the inverter. So you hear that fire up. And it's been really handy this weekend having the power, because we're able to run a lot of the heavy tools and stuff off it. Even the big table saw is running off that. So I've talked about this before, but our family property here is fully off grid, but it hasn't got a massive inverter. So when I've been using the table saw and some of the bigger equipment, I've had to be running the generator, but that is now running off our inverter. So here I've got a heat gun, which is about 2 kilowatts. And our inverter is a 3 kilowatt inverter, so that's firing up and running that with no dramas at all. But yeah, it's nice to have 240 electrical now. So now we just have to get the final certification done. This morning before work, I'm going to take the van to a public weighbridge and get a weight certificate for it. I'm a little bit nervous about this, but we'll keep you posted on what weight it comes in and how it all goes. Our weigh-in came in at 3.6 tons. I think this really highlights the importance to get a vehicle that is rated with the GVM for what you're planning to build. So if we'd got a 3 Series Sprinter, say, I think their GVM is around 3.5 ton, we'd already be over that limit. So keep in mind that went into weigh-in with all our tanks empty, and we had about 20% in the fuel tank. So we're set up to carry about 200 litres of fresh water, so that's about 200 kilos. 50 litres ish of grey water, so another 50 kilos, and probably another 50 kilos of fuel. So that would push us up another 300 kilos. So that would push us up to about 3.9 tons. Then don't quote me on this, but I think the allowance we need is something around 80 kilos per person plus 30 kilos of luggage per person. So that's another 200, just over 200 kilos. So that's pushing us up to about 4.1 tons with everything sort of considered. So we've still got a bit of wiggle room up to our 4.5 ton GVM there. And also, interestingly, I sort of worried about this a couple of months ago, and I put together a bit of a spreadsheet of all our materials and parts, just very high level, to estimate what the weight was going to come in. I just went and had a look at that now, and it came in at 3.595 tons. So this is only going to one decimal place, but according to that, we're 5 kilos off the estimate. Anyway, I'm relieved that that's all gone through and we've got plenty of wiggle room there. It is heavy, obviously. If we were working with a smaller vehicle, there's definitely things we could have done to save on weight. We've got, you know, a nice timber bench in there, but that's definitely adding weight. IKEA cabinets probably aren't the lightest, and some of our cladding choices also aren't the lightest. But in saying that, we probably would be up there anyway with fitting everything in that we have. So yeah, that's all done. Next up, we've got our engineering cert. So there's a few things left to do. And now I've got to put a fire extinguisher in, and because it's going in a cupboard, it needs a sticker as well to highlight where that is. So let's do that now.
Strap her in, boys. Mess with you.
So the van had its final inspection the other day for its modification against the Campervan code, or the LH11 code. So it all passed, it was all good. I think when I asked him about it, he said, I've seen some real shit ones come through, and yours wasn't one of them. So I don't know if that's an Australian way of saying you did all right, but yeah, we've got in here our mod plate. So I'll cover up some of the details of the vehicle and stuff, but essentially we've got the mod plate. It's got a number for the mod, modified against LH11, and everything else has stayed the same, modification by the owner, and it's got the date and everything on there of the modification. We also got the paperwork for the modification as well, so again, I'll keep the details of that hidden, but this is the paper copy of it all. So from what I understand, the engineers lodged that with Transport and Main Roads in Queensland, but it can take 1 to 2 years for that to go through on the system. So the last sort of thing for us to do is go into a Transport and Main Roads office and do a changeover of the vehicle type. So a couple of other things I'll mention. I did talk earlier about having a weight allowance for people and luggage. From talking to the certifier, I don't think that's actually a thing. I think that might just be a rule of thumb to make sure you're allowing for passengers and their luggage when you're doing your weights. So yeah, as long as you come in under that total weight, that's the main thing. Also, we got the invoice from the electrician, and in Queensland, from what I understand, that invoice is the safety certificate. So there's not like a standalone certificate for that, but it's got the details of the vehicle on the invoice, the work that was done and all the testing and such. So that's our 240 safety certificate as well. So that's it, the van is all certified, it's weighed in, it's got its gas certificate, it's got its electrical safety, and it's got its engineering. So all we've got to do is change it over, and that's it, it's all done. All right, so an update on the certification. I've just been into a Transport and Main Roads office in Queensland, and we've updated the vehicle details. So they've updated the vehicle details to a campervan type. I think that was under body shape. They also updated the tear mass, and the insurance category for compulsory third party, or CTP, also changed. So overall, our registration has gone down because that's combined with the CTP insurance. So there's no fees for me to make this change there, and so it's all updated on the system, and we're now a campervan officially. So got the paperwork for that. So all done.